Sean Diddy Combs, the drama continues to unfold as it always does. Joining us to discuss the principles of the case, the latest in the case, Eric Faddis, defense attorney, former prosecutor. There are so many accusations in this thing, and we keep hearing them going all the way back, even to 1999. We saw that new documentary coming out that came out recently on Hulu about Shine, just kind of reinvesting into that story of basically Shine taking the fall for Diddy all those years ago. With so many things going on here, how do his attorneys even begin to defend him against so many different claims?
Yeah, I mean, Tony, it's going to be a Herculean effort to just to wrap their heads around the expansiveness of these allegations, the decades that they allegedly span. I think I heard that there were like dozens of terabytes of information, and that's just in the federal criminal case. That doesn't include all the civil cases. And so you really have to have a team behind you. And I'm talking a team of like more than 10 people or so, multiple attorneys, multiple paralegals, sifting through the allegations, finding investigative avenues, and trying to have some kind of strategy to tackle this massive legal effort.
How do you counter something like this? Because the charges of sex trafficking and the racketeering are massive. So, I mean, how do you counter something that is that serious? No matter how many people you got to dig into all of these claims, and you're seeing a pattern of behavior here as well.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, there's kind of like a macro and a micro approach. The micro approach is sifting through these allegations, finding little tidbits that are demonstrably untrue, latching on to those, doing investigation of accusers and of witnesses, trying to find credibility issues with those folks. And then on the macro level, you've got to try to control the social narrative or at least not let it spin so negative that everyone in the world hates your client.
Is there any way of getting there for Diddy at this point? Because it seems it's been a spiral just straight downhill since this has all happened.
One thing is that media, Diddy does have significant media contacts. He has resources. There's an allegation that he had his family do like a birthday video, and that was supposedly to, gain favor and
Mhm.
sympathy amongst the public. There are measures that he can take, but everything is just so negative right now, and all of the media outlets are really kind of crashing down on him. And so it's tough, but he does have the capacity, I think, to make changes.
It seems that that was what they were trying to do with that birthday video. I saw that too. And on the surface, if you're not looking any deeper, if you know nothing about the case, you're like, oh, this is a cute daddy's in jail birthday video, which is never really that cute. But but it's a daddy's in jail birthday video. Sorry, I'm sick right now, so coughing and laughing are not a good thing. Um, clearly using small children to benefit the image of Diddy in that video, which I found pretty disturbing. You have like literally like someone who's probably like 2-ish years old in there. And you look at, oh, really cute, but they're wishing happy birthday to somebody who's accused of all these horrible, horrible crimes. Um, does that ever work? Could this work for Diddy? Because we haven't really seen anybody other than his family, his children specifically, coming out for Diddy at this point.
Yeah, I hear you. And look, if Diddy is using children as pawns to try to manipulate public perception, of course that is problematic. On the other hand, we look at the federal prosecutor did a press conference in which he disclosed all of this negative stuff about Diddy. And so doesn't Diddy have his own First Amendment right
Yeah,
to, so long as he is not obstructing investigation, to counter what is being put out by his adversaries? I think he does have that right. He's got to be careful how he does it.
is it all a PR game for Diddy at this point? I mean, the charges are there, the evidence is going to be there. Federal prosecutors are not going into this thing hoping maybe they'll find something. They have it. Um, so what is it at this point? Is this all just maybe we can make him disappear into the annals of history with a little bit of something positive? I don't know.
One thing that I've kind of seen is Diddy's camp distancing themselves from the true nature of the allegations, the content of the allegations,
Mhm.
and instead trying to kind of latch on to other sort of narrative generating things, like trying to paint him in a good light as a family man, trying to enlist celebrities for help, although that hasn't gone very well. I think his efforts to change the public perception might even be more effective, or at least potentially more effective, than really countering the specific and heinous allegations against it.
Yeah, they are pretty heinous and pretty dark. I mean, could there, if you were, let me ask you this: if you were Diddy's attorney, the birthday video that came out, would you have recommended that he put that out, or would you have said, "Nah, this might backfire at some point in time"?
I'd be recommending that he do something within that
Uh
context.
huh.
I'm not sure that the birthday video with the family was the most well executed, and I'm not sure it had really the impact that they wanted. But he's got to do something. He's got to try and change, or at least some people's minds in terms of how they are viewing this case. Because if it's 98% negative, that percentage is going to carry over into the jury pool. And so on the other hand, he can't manipulate prospective jurors. So it's kind of a delicate dance that he has to try and do.
I mean, is there any way of getting back on any of this? I mean, I know it's like kicking and scratching. It seems. I just don't know that there is any path for him at this point, unless you had every accuser that came out and said, "Oh, sorry, we it was another person. We made a mistake." Clearly, that's not going to happen. I mean, is there any redeeming at this point, or is it just let's? I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what to say at this point. I certainly would not want to be the defense of Diddy.
Yeah, I mean, the hole that he has to try to dig himself out of is so massive. We did see some things come forward, like defense claims that one of the accusers tried to ask a boyfriend to corroborate what she was saying and wanted to pay him money or
Mhm.
something. And that's a little shady. But can defense really like identify something shady with every single one of the dozens and
Yeah.
dozens of accusers? It just seems implausible.
And that's a key thing in this because you have dozens and dozens and dozens that we're getting into the hundreds actually of accusations coming against him from various people. How do you dig into each one of those? Because they got to really walk a fine line here and not look like they're victim blaming or just completely dismissing someone's allegations. But how do you get in there and really make a determination on what is, solid, what has some legs to it, and what doesn't if you're the defense? Or do you just say all of it's fake? I mean, that seems to be what they've been doing thus far until like there's literally video of him beating up Cassie.
Yeah, as we get further along in this case, his attorneys, his legal team, his investigators are going to have to get down to the nitty gritty and really look into the backgrounds of these folks. Like I said, they were able to identify a credibility issue with at least one accuser. Do other accusers have stuff like that in their past that the defense could at least highlight to try to argue? I'm sure that they do. But it's going to be such a tedious process going through the old reports, old witness statements, old photographs and videos, combing through them with an investigator to try and determine what can we use on the defense side from this.
The 1999 club shooting involving Shine and Jennifer Lopez being there, that documentary out on Hulu right now, it's called The Honorable Shine. Is there any chance that any elements of that case make it into these indictments? Is there anything from that point in time that's going to be re-litigated? I mean, he was acquitted back then, so I think we're probably going into double jeopardy territory, would we not? Or would some of these things be considered new evidence, considering you literally have the person who was shot saying, "Yeah, it was Diddy who shot me." Um, they were right there, point blank. What is there anything that would put that back into motion, or is that just kind of come and gone now?
I think Diddy gets out of that one and stays out of that one. As you mentioned, he went to trial on these charges. He was acquitted. And so the double jeopardy clause of the Constitution says he cannot face those charges again. However, in subsequent legal matters, prior acts of dishonesty can come in. And so could they could they put Shine up there to say, hey, Diddy, knew he did it, but he said, hey, Shine, you be the fall guy. I'm going to pay you a nominal sum of money to do this for 10 years of your life in prison. And is that an act of dishonesty that goes to Diddy's credibility that could be brought up in a subsequent legal proceeding? Yes.
Are you surprised that they haven't, the defense of Diddy hasn't had some more positive things to bring to the table? I mean, for like 30 years, he was out there. He was a major pop icon in pop culture around the world, and was very big on philanthropy and all of that. I mean, all on the surface to curate that image, but we really haven't seen any of that come out or be rehashed in the media since any of these things came out. I would think that maybe that would be some areas to, I guess, humanize him more because right now he's looking like the devil far more than an actual person.
Yeah, Tony, I'm totally surprised that his defense team hasn't done more to try to shift the public narrative. One thing they came out with that I thought was a complete misfire is they say, "Oh, the Cassie video, that wasn't a freak off. That was just my client horribly assaulting his then female spouse." That doesn't gain you a ton of points. I'm just surprised that they haven't talked about his philanthropy, that they haven't called in some favors. I'm sure there are folks who owe him in some form or another. And I'm surprised he hasn't said, "Hey, Meek Mill," or "Hey, somebody, make a public statement in support of me," or maybe they have and they just couldn't find anyone.
Well, I mean, is it? I mean, it just feels completely tone deaf when you hear them arguing about the video, saying, "Oh, it was gotten by ill means," or "it was edited." I mean, any way you edit that thing, it is what it is. You're not gonna like somehow edit this thing, and in the original edit, he's not beating the shit out of Cassie. It's there. It just seems rather ludicrous to even bring that to the table publicly as an argument of technicalities.
Yeah. I'm just wondering. I've talked before in your show about prosecutors kind of being having blinders on, being in an echo chamber, and just thinking one thing that is detached from reality. I wonder if this is that principle, but on the defense side, where
Mhm.
the defense is saying, "Oh, the government edited this video and then leaked it. What scoundrels! We should really condemn them for doing that." But the average person is going to watch the video and say, "Hey, it's still him beating the hell out of his spouse." Like, any way you slice it, even if it was edited, who cares?
Well, it's like the general public. If you're exposing someone's wrongdoings, rules be damned. I mean, if it comes out, it comes out, and nobody's really going to give a crap about the technicalities of how this video came to light, considering it was already covered up by a payoff. So I don't think anyone really cares when it comes to that. I mean, you can make your arguments in a courtroom setting, but this is the public opinion setting that they're trying to argue, but they're arguing like courtroom technicalities to the general public.
Yeah, exactly right, Tony. And those do not a really like technical legalistic argument
Yeah.
doesn't always land so well with Joe Smith from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And so that's something they need to keep in mind. Another thing they're doing that I'm sure you've seen is they're going against the plaintiff's attorney who's representing the accusers, Tony Busby,
Hmm.
and they're kind of trying to paint him out as this sort of greedy, manipulative type guy. And they might have some traction there, but they've got to do something.
Yeah, I mean, you can attack the character of someone, all you want, but at the end of the day, it wasn't Tony Busby who was having the freak off parties, as far as we know. But it's one of those things where, okay, yeah, you can have that image of the attorney, but you have 100 and some people who have come to light saying these things. That's not nothing.
It's overwhelming. It's just, I mean, just statistically, like I'm a pretty criminal defense minded guy, but just looking at this statistically, could it be that 120 people are all completely fabricating and there was no unlawful activity at all? It just seems totally implausible.
It seems statistically impossible. It'll be fascinating as this continues to move. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Bruschi, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.